everybody, Laura here. So glad you're joining me. Today I have a fun birthday card that uses several different stamp sets by Simon Says Stamp, really pulling a lot of things together and combining. And this is a fun way to stretch your stamp. So we're going to dive right in. I am inking up the Doodle background stamp with Versamark ink. I have a panel of Nina Solar White that I've already prepped with my powder tool. I like to use the Magic Powder Bag. I know some people like to use the EK Success powder tool. Either way you go is fine as long as you do something to prep it before embossing. Otherwise, you're going to have embossing powder sticking where you don't want it to stick. But honestly, even though I always prep my cardstock, after I pour on that embossing powder, shake off the excess, I almost always have to go over it and with a little needle tool or my tweezers or a dry brush and just kind of give it a once over to make sure there's not any little bits and pieces of embossing powder that are stuck where I don't want them. And I do that always, especially when I'm embossing sentiments, because I don't want, when you emboss white on black, the white embossing powder really shows. So I don't want any of that where I don't want it to be. You know what I mean? I'm very perfectionistic. Is that a word? Probably not. With my embossing powder. So I don't always show that with my videos, but that is one thing that I do. So I'm doing a little emboss resist. I embossed that Doodle background pattern in clear. I went over it with a little Malibu and pale blush pink. Okay, so now we're going to get to stamping all the fun images. This little cute girl that I love, she's adorable. She's from Melody's Easter. And then I stamped some balloons. Now these are like jumbo because they're big. They're like bigger than the size of her head. But I love that. You ever seen those big, huge jumbo balloons? I think they're so awesome. I bought a few not the other day. It was several months ago. I bought them for my daughter when she turned 15. I bought those big jumbo balloons and I took them and I wanted to get them filled up. I don't have a helium tank. So I took them to this balloon place or wherever I went and I'm like, can you fill it? And he looked at the size of the balloon. He's like, this is going to cost a lot. It's going to take a lot of helium. And I didn't realize that. So yeah, word of warning, when you buy those huge balloons, they take a lot of helium. But they're so cool looking, aren't they? Anyway, okay, so I've got the bunny. Now this bunny is from Abby's Spring Showers. This is an older stamp set, so I'm combining it. I wasn't for sure that I wanted, but I thought maybe that bunny could be hanging in her hand, like she's holding on to the little bunny. So this card was kind of an evolution. And this video is quite long. It's like twice as long as my normal videos. So hang in there with me because I'm probably not going to talk about the card the whole time. Who knows what I might end up talking about. But right now I'm coloring all the images in with Copics. You can see my caps up there. I sped this up because I don't want to bore you to tears, but I know some people really like to watch the Copic coloring. Now you can see here I had to go and stamp another balloon because I messed up my first green. What happened was I changed my mind on the colors. You can see that the second green balloon is just a little bit lighter, and I like that better. Now, you guys don't always see all my mistakes and decision changes that I make with cards. And people always say, Laura, you make it look so easy. Well, really, it's not that easy. It's just I edit out all the mistakes. And so I try to make the videos as quick as I can. I don't want to, but I do, honestly. It's not about getting it right the first time. It's just about sticking at it until you're happy with it. And I know a lot of people always tell me they get so frustrated with their ink blending or their Copic coloring or their ink smushing, and they say they can't do it. But I have the same feelings. I go through the same stuff. I just edit all that out on my videos. You don't see me screaming at my cards. But anyhow, okay, so I'm coloring the girl's hair with brown. This is about the color of my little Emma's hair. She's 5, and she'll probably look just like this on Easter. And okay, so you can see here I colored the little girl's dress in green. Same colors as a balloon. Now I wanted to show you, this is what I mean by my card was an evolution. I colored another little girl, same everything except for the dress color, and I add a little yellow to the center of the balloons. But same as the balloon colors that I use. I did her dress in blue and the other girl's dress in green. I wasn't sure which one would go better with my card. And these are the kind of insane things that I do to myself. I make a simple card very hard. It took me all day to make this card. I'm not even kidding. Some days I can pump out 5 cards in one day. And then one day it takes me all day to make a card. So this is not a very simple card. Well, maybe after you already know the color choices and the layout you want to do, it's not that hard. But when you're making all these decisions as you go, it definitely takes a long time. Okay, so one extra little detail, I'm adding a little ground to put underneath the girl. I'm using the A2 card curved edge die, and I just die cut that out of some white Nina. I'm going to pop that up just along the very bottom of my panel, and I'll show you how I trim off the excess with my Big Mama paper trimmer. This makes it so easy to get perfectly straight 90-degree angles for your card. There, look how simple that is. I love how that turns out when I use my my big paper trimmer to do that. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to pop up this panel. I'm putting a whole bunch of Tombow Mono adhesive, and then I'm adhering a little bit of that fun foam. Now normally I would trim my fun foam to the exact size of the card front, but this time I save all the little extra slivers of fun foam I have. You know why? Because I'm nifty and I'm thrifty. And so I piece the two pieces together on the back. No one's going to know the difference, and you still get that awesome dimension, but you stay thrifty and nifty. It's a double whammy. Okay, so now we got a little foam tape on the back of our cutie little girl here, and we're popping her up. Her feet will rest flush on the little white hill, and then I'll pop up the balloons too. Well, now I clustered the three together. I adhered them with a little tape, clustered them together, put some foam tape on the back of them. We're popping them up onto this doodle background. I'll trim off the excess on the top and the sides. Okay, so now for the bunny, putting a little multi-matte medium. I trimmed off just a little tip of his paw and butted it up to her fist so it will look like she's holding it. I'm hoping it looks like she's holding it because she does kind of have a fist. But whatever, okay, we just went with it. Now here's a little trick of the trade, what I do to help me get a nice smooth balloon string. I take my big foam tape roll and my multi-liner pen, and that's what I draw my balloon strings with. It gives you a nice little arch, but not too much, just enough. There's only one complication here, is that I have that embossed resist background. And so it is going to smudge with that embossed resist. Normally this would not be a problem, and I do it all the time. But I realized after the fact, I was like, uh-oh, I have an embossed resisted background, and I'm gonna have to do something to solve that problem. I'll show you what I do later because we're moving on to the sentiment. I have these little die cut sentiments. They're called Circle Smile. They're by Simon Says Stamp. They coordinate with the Happy and Smile stamp set, which I'm going to use as well. But I didn't want the circle part. I just wanted the smile part. So I had to do a little surgery and cut the circle off. Now, if you're careful and you get that arch just right on the S, no one will ever know the difference. Look at that. I love this sentiment smile. I like the font on it, kind of a handwritten look. So I used my spray adhesive to adhere about 4 of these together, and that made it much simpler than trying to do liquid adhesive. And then I used the same Copic colors that I used for the pink balloon on this smile sentiment, just to tie it in, give it a little something something. Again, I sprayed the back side with spray adhesive, and I'm adhering that on. I also did the little dot on the eye. I believe that's called a tittle. Yeah, there's a little trivia information that you never knew you needed to know. The dot on the eye is indeed called a tittle. I learned that a while back when I was doing a card video because I was talking about the dot on the eye and everybody was like, it's called a tittle. I was like, how does everybody else know this information? And I have never known it my whole life. Okay, so you can see there I put a little sliver of foam tape on the back of that big sequin, and I popped up a sequin. Don't be afraid to get dimensional with those sequins. Now the rest of them I'd adhered flat, but that particular one I popped up. Now here's my solution for coating my balloon strings so they don't smudge on top of that embossed resisted background. I ran a very thin line of glossy accents. Now I've got that precision tip on the end of my glossy accents, which helps me to get a really thin. You don't see it so much, but it will keep those from smudging if your fingers run across it. Had to do what I had to do. And this card's finished. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.